People often talk about singular moments that stand out in their life. I have two. The day that 9/11 happened, September 11, 2001, I was in grade 2. I was 12 years old, and I was on recess actually when it happened. And as a kid, you're like running around the playground, you're having fun with your friends, and we got an announcement that we were getting an extra 10 minutes. And we're like, as a kid, you don't understand. So you're like, ooh, we get an extra 10 minutes of playtime. But it wasn't until we had to line up and we saw the teachers' graven faces that we knew something was up. And when we came back to class, radios were set up in all the classes and they were broadcasting live what was happening from New York. And that was really my first time I'd been faced with something that was like a concept of terror and someone inflicting harm purposefully on another. And I struggled with that for a while. I was like, why would someone do that? Why would someone fly deliberately all these innocent people into buildings and destroy so many lives? I still don't get the concept of terrorism to today. I'm like, why not just build something better? The second moment, though, was something I knew that was coming. And it's still something to this day with the recent happenings of Ukraine and Russia conflict I'm really struggling with. I was a product of a closed adoption from Russia. I was an orphan in a Novosibirsk, Siberia orphanage, and Russia likes to seal their documents. They like to close everything up so you have no information. So for 17 years, I was in court. My family was sending money to a judge trying to get my case escalated because bribes always will, they're like, oh, it will take 10 years. And it's like, but if you pay $500, maybe it will take 2 years. Pardon my Russian accent. But yeah, so it was just bribes back and forth. And then finally we expedited it I got my biological mother's name. I got my family. Because for as long as I can remember, as long as I've had a conscious thought, I wanted to stare down the people that was like, why did you give me up? Why was I not, good enough? And people don't think of the concept of international adoption often where, a mother is pregnant with her child. It's not just the delivery of her baby and like into the world for herself, but it's that of the family members, it's that of the community. Whereas adoption, you're just picking up a baby and placing it and just being like, here you go, deal with it. Truth is, there's nothing that can prepare you for that. You're taking a kid from a foreign culture that has been institutionalized since birth, I've had eating habits that resulted from a pot of porridge being set amongst, 41-month to 10-month-old kids, and they have to learn to fight for food. The one who gets the most food grows the most. As a 2-month-old baby, you're like, I have to fend for myself. But no, so finding my cultural roots was always a deep integral search. So including a trip back to Russia when I was 15 years old. But yeah, so it all resulted to me getting information, hiring a PI, she doing the legwork in Novosibirsk, and it all coming together on a night in 2017, and me driving home during a snowstorm and getting the message from her, Carolina, on Facebook, and she's like, I have information. And I was like, great. I was a terrible driver, FYI, so I checked my phone in the snow. She's like, are you driving? Are you good? Where are you? She's like, are you sitting? I was like, I'm driving. She's like, can you pull over? And I was like, okay. She's like, I'm sorry to inform you, but both of your biological parents have passed away. And I don't know, there's no singular term to describe how I felt in that moment, because 17 years of just this hope of just a face-to-face conversation with the people who essentially gave birth to me was taken away in that moment. And I was like, at the same time, how do you mourn a loss of people that you've never met? But through this journey of rediscovery, I found that I had 2 biological brothers. I had a nephew, the cutest 12-year-old. I have a 75-year-old grandma, who never knew it. She's never met me. And so I've been trying since that day to actively go back, and it's difficult because I was born at the time when Russia was still the USSR. my passport literally says USSR. So I was all excited, and I was like, well, obviously I'm going to travel back. I still have a Russian citizenship that I hold, so I'm a dual citizen. I'm Canadian and Russian. So my excited ass hops over to the Russian embassy. I'm like, I need a visa to Russia stat, because I need to get there. I need to be reunited with my biological family. And they're like, not so fast. Like, as a Russian citizen, you don't qualify for a visa. Like, you need to go on your passport. And I was like, I don't have my passport. They're like, well, get it. And I'm like, okay, let's start the process. Like, how do we expedite this? So they're like, go to Ottawa, go to the actual embassy, did that. And then they're like, we need 3 previous addresses of residence in the country. And I was like, does the orphanage count? They're like, no. Yeah, Russian adoptees don't have it easy, because all of them have this deep ingrained sense of like going back, asking questions, like, because nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about the other side of the journey, as you're stripped of your culture, you're stripped of everything. And no matter like who gives a sense of what community you're placed into. Like, if you're placed into a community that embraces you, amazing. But what if you're not? Like, you grow up an alien, essentially.